All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of MasterClass. I am your host, as always, Trevor Burnett. And we are on episode 23. Been doing this for a while. And it's July 19th today, in case you're watching live. Special day for me because it's my wedding anniversary, actually. And won't be doing anything special tonight except for doing a kid birthday because my wife and I had terrible timing, and our youngest birthday is tomorrow, but we're celebrating today. Anyway, let me bring on my guest. That aside, this episode wanted to bring on Andrew Phelps. Sorry, I got your name wrong there. Andrew Phelps, you are the co-founder and CEO of Incentive Pilot, and wanted to talk, gamification, all about incentives. Really pick your brain because you seem to know quite a bit about this topic. So welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And congratulations on the anniversary. How many years?
Oh, I wasn't going to say, but no, I'm just kidding. 22
Wow.
years. Yes. I feel super old, but yes, it's gone a good long while. And
That's
hopefully
awesome.
22 plus more. So good.
Well, yeah, I'm here to help. Anything you want to know about gamification, we've learned a lot running thousands of campaigns for channel programs and internal sales teams alike. So I can talk incentives, gamification, the engagement strategies that really work. And yeah, let's dive into it.
Yeah, let's do it. So, when I hear gamification, it's a term that's been around for a bit, and it was the buzzword like AI almost for a while there, and then cooled off as I think people maybe didn't execute correctly or something went wrong where it soured a little bit. And now gamification, well, it kind of means a lot, right? Everybody seems to have their own definition of what they think about with gamification. I remember one of the old campaigns. I've not only been married a long time, but I've also been working in this industry for a long time. Back in the mid zeros, or however you say that, the aughts. That sounds 1900-y. Back in the first part of the century, did a marketing campaign with a customer where she wanted to make it a game. It wasn't a term yet to say gamification, but to have a survey or that turned into a marketing campaign where people would fill out answers to these questions. It was a long question, kind of a Jeopardy approach, but the better score you got, and it was like a mix of nerdy answers of what's Lord of the Rings, something or other, plus product questions about them. And their target audience was kind of that space. And so they mixed it and made it fun. And the winner, had a whole leaderboard. Whoever got the top score won a Galaga arcade system for their house. So it was really cool and very extensive and quite groundbreaking for the time. And it was super popular. And then we turned into this whole gamification, and it kind of took off from there. So what is it that people do wrong most commonly, and why they've kind of given up or don't think about gamification as much as maybe they used to?
Right. So I think you hit the nail on the head in that it was a buzzword about 10 years ago. There were a couple TED Talks that really brought the term into, the mainstream business culture. And, the technical definition of gamification is adding game elements to non-game things, right? So the bar for what is gamification is actually very low. And usually the gamification you see is that low bar. It's adding points to an activity. It's adding a leaderboard to an activity. It's adding badges to an activity. All these things that, are technically gamification, but don't actually make something fun. And so we have a different gamification definition at Incentive Pilot. And I encourage everybody to shift their definition, which is the use of game elements and non-game things to make it actually fun, right? Just adding on the actually fun part. Because the reality is that with the not enough interest or fun involved, it doesn't really become gamified or change the aspect. It's just one more layer of complexity. I hate folding laundry. And if you told me I got 10 points for every piece of laundry I fold, I don't really care, right? It'd have to be more interesting and more exciting for that to actually change my opinion of laundry. And the same is true for work. it needs to be fun enough, interesting enough to, get some attention and drive initial action. And that's the real power of gamification. It's not to trick people into thinking, oh, I'm playing instead of working. It's a powerful way to get attention, change a perspective, have your partners or your employees see what they're doing in a different light, and you help them execute in a better way. And so we can dive into all that, but I think the biggest misconception about gamification is that a lot of what people call gamification is technically gamification, but it's not fun. If it's not fun, it's not doing anything for you. And so it's going to fall flat. And I think we're in kind of that trough of disillusionment on the Gartner life cycle with gamification right now. And soon we'll be hitting the plateau of productivity. And, we feel like we're an important piece of that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because that is commonly what I see is just, oh, we added points. Isn't that gamification? That should do it. Yeah. And I like your analogy, because laundry is not fun. How many points you want, I'm still not going to do it. It's going to pile up. But yeah, even though there are elements of, I always think of really good, effective point systems or something like that is the frequent flyer. For some reason, I just get obsessed with how close I am to getting to that next level of benefits. I mean, it's not necessarily fun, but they got me hooked on the juice, because I'm always like, oh, I'm so close to gold. Where can I travel? I got to go to one more place, So there's that. I think it's because of I don't know, maybe they've made status such a thing that we want to aspire for, or the benefits that are involved with it. And I guess it makes it fun in that way. It's not necessarily the game itself that is fun. So I think there's maybe multiple ways to make that happen.
Definitely. And points and badges and leaderboards, they all have their place. What I would point out is that works for you, right? I couldn't care less about airline miles, credit card points, or anything. So there's a personality, and there's an appeal for certain people, just like competition is an appeal for certain people. Other people are going to be interested by different things. Collaboration with their peers. They're going to be interested in being noticed and heard for, their unique contributions. So all of these elements can be effective for certain audiences, but understanding that people have different motivations, different drives, and layering as many of those things together to get the biggest audience you can engaged is really the name of the game.
So what I'm hearing is, in the partnerships world, really being able to understand the mind of your partners, what motivates them, and what will be incentivizing to them.
Yes, but it doesn't have to be on the micro level. You can just design a program that has elements that may to appeal to different personality types, and you'll see a better result. So, if I share my screen later in this episode, you'll see kind of how our games work. And yes, there's a competitive element that will appeal to people who are enticed by competition. There's an actual game element that's going to be, appeal to people, anybody who wants to take a 30-second break and have some fun. There's a silliness aspect. If I'm looking at partner portals all day, I'm in and out of different enterprise software, like just the relief of looking at something that isn't that is going to appeal. So we try to layer lots of different, kinds of interest that would motivate different people. And what you do is, when you run one of these campaigns, you'll see that partners you didn't expect to participate will participate, because you're starting to check the boxes of different personality types. And a lot of it has to do with your program and the content that you are getting out there, and the activities you're asking your partners to do. But being able to kind of, offer your partners more than just a competition that appeals to competitive people is going to broaden your engagement. And, we usually see double partner engagement after a pilot program. So that's twice as many portal logins, twice as many activities as completed, usually record high page views and downloads, because there's something for everyone. And oftentimes we'll, break right through that that 20%, 80-20 rule into the long tail and get partners activated that haven't done anything in a long time.
Yeah, that's really good results. Double. Yeah. Who doesn't want double? Pretty good. Well, I mean, usually on MasterClass, we talk more strategy and best practice, and don't dive too much in to showing, actual execution. But I'm dying to see some examples. Like I want to see the silliness or the whatever you have in your examples there. Just because I haven't dove too much into the actual execution of incentives in this way, at least. So if
Yeah,
you want
absolutely.
to share your screen, I'd love to see it.
I will. Let's hit a little bit on the strategy first,
Yeah.
and then the demo might make more sense. So,
Sure.
I think the first thing to understand is that you have to start with a user experience best practice. So, understanding your user. In this case, it's partners. In this case, it's the partners of your program, and it's their experience. Being partnered with you, how they interact with you, how they add value for you, and how they work every day. How do they work? So you can get their attention and use that attention to help them achieve results for your partnership. So the first thing to understand is that the vast majority of partners, especially in technology, are crazy busy. They're working on a million deals at once. They can offer thousands, if not tens of thousands of different solutions. So you are in competition with everybody else out there, your direct competitors, but also just their attention in general you're in competition for. And then their calendars are loaded with calls and internal meetings and everything. It's like when you break that all down, most of your partners don't have an hour to log into your portal, go do what you want them to do, track things the way you want them to be tracked, and have everything work in your ideal world. The reality is your partners are dealing with your program on a minute by minute basis. A 5-minute interaction with your program on a day, that's a great amount of time invested. So understanding that everything needs to be designed in these chunks that can be tackled in small increments of time, very important. Simplicity and good user experience. And then the next step is marketing best practices. So once you have that good user experience, you need to understand the basics of marketing. How are you going to get your partner's attention? How are you going to get them into the good user experience? And when they're in there, what do you need to understand about marketing to get them to get things done? So we've productized those user experience and marketing best practices into gamified campaigns that drive some pretty incredible results. So I'll share my screen here and you'll check out our whodunit game in the InPartner platform.
All right.
Let me
Oh, it's
see.
in your partner platform. How great.
Yeah, what do you know?
What do you know? What a coincidence. So yeah, as you're sharing that, I forgot to mention one of the problems that I was seeing, kind of teeing up the problem you're solving with this. I'm on a bunch of different partnership forums, and one person said that they were getting pushback from their partners that don't want to register deals or do anything at all because it felt like a task. And so even though they were giving, I think it was some sort of a 10% first year ACV, they gave a nice incentive, it still just wasn't quite enough, and they were trying to ask the community, what have you guys done, how can you solve this? And I think doing something like this would really help in her case.
Absolutely. Giving insight to pipeline can be huge, right? Put yourself in your partner's shoes. They have the deal. Why do they care if you know about the deal before it closes, right? It doesn't do anything for them. So understanding the activities you need, what you're asking for your partner, all of that's fundamental to what we do. But can you see my screen here?
Yeah, it looks good.
All right, so we're here in an partner experience portal, and you can see one of our gamified campaigns right here on the homepage. Solve the case, earn rewards, win up to $500. So I'm going to click on that. That's going to take me to an informational page within the portal, and you'll notice that it is extremely simple. Remember, we only have a couple seconds to catch a partner's attention and get them to take initial action. At this point, we're not trying to get them to do anything except click play. So the instructions here are: complete the certifications, earn clues for each certification you complete. Each clue you earn makes it easier to solve the case. Solve the case and be entered to win a $500 gift card. So you'll see here that it's a game a lot like the board game Clue. And then instead of being directly incentivized for everything you do, you're entered into a raffle. And what we found, some of the remarkable data we have from our early campaigns, is that there is no correlation with how much activity your campaign gets versus what you're giving out in monetary incentives. So we've been able to reduce the incentive spend by up to 95% for some customers, because just like points, just like a leaderboard, just like badges, incentives are just one layer, just one thing that can be added to the campaign to garner more interest. I'm going to hit play now. That's going to open up Incentive Pilot in a new window. There's a single sign-on from in partner, so you don't have any new logins or anything, and we're instantly rewarded with 3 clues. These clues were not used in the crime. So in user experience, this is called a hook. We got something for doing nothing. We're building intrigue, trying to get our users to take another action. So we are in Miss Crimson, the library, and a hot dog. Now, instead of a gruesome murder in a mansion, this mystery is who made the mess in like a 2-bedroom apartment. And we found that the sillier and stupider things are, the more people love them. So instead of Colonel Mustard, we have Commander Condiment. And instead of murder weapons, we have all sorts of fast food. But you're guided through the whole experience by these little helpful hints. Right now, you have no new clues to discover. Complete an activity to earn more. So I'm going to hit that. I could also click the activities tab down here, and I can see everything that Demo Technologies is asking us to do here. I can check out the leaderboard. In this example, it's just us, so that's not too exciting. But this leaderboard could be your entire partner population. It could be the individuals at specific partner organizations. It could be regional. It could be sliced and diced however you want. It's another strategy to appeal to those competition-based users. You know, what's going to get you the best engagement and the best results. So I'm going to pop back to activities. In this example, it's quizzes. I'm going to pop open this quiz, which happens to be an incentive pilot. But these activities can be anything that you want your partners to do. They can be things that you want to manually track using spreadsheets. They can be in outside systems. They can be anything in the InPartner API. So if there are, trainings or certifications within InPartner, we can connect right into that and automate everything. We can do deal registration, anything that you're interested in promoting. We've had customers, drive attendance to webinars and events. We've had customers drive scheduling time with a channel account manager, doing power hour calls with their partner, sending samples to customers. Really anything you can think of that's an activity you want your partners to do, we've probably done. In this example, I'm going to blow through this quiz because I've done it a couple times.
I'm sure.
And we're going to earn 4 more clues. So we got assistant professor periwinkle, office, pizza, and ice cream. I'm going to add them to my evidence. Now we'll see our evidence get crossed out here. I get visual hook that I'm making progress. A lot of partners come right back to activities, and they're going to do the second quiz. A lot of partners, as we already talked about, are busy. They're going to close right out of this window. And that's totally fine, because if we come to Incentive Pilot here and we check out the touch points for the whodunit campaign, you can see how many touch points you get with a partner over the course of just a 4-week campaign. So once the user's in there, we saw how to play, we received clues, we checked out the leaderboard, we saw the activities, we did an activity and received clues, then we closed out of the window. Well, next week, we're going to get an automated and personalized reminder that's going to bring us right back into the experience. And that's going to happen over and over and over again. And we found that getting those touch points is the only thing you need to do to get a lot more engagement with your partners, because they're busy, they're distracted, the competition is high. You need to catch them at a good time. And the only way to catch them at a good time is to provide them, a reminder that there's something cool going on. Now, this is a 4-week campaign. Most of our campaigns are 6 to 12 weeks. So you get even more touch points than this. And the results are pretty incredible. So it's not just fun and games, it's hard business. This particular silly mystery game generated $69 million in revenue in just 3 weeks. We took the data from the campaign, the partners that were selling who weren't involved in the campaign versus the partners who did participate in the campaign. And the difference in revenue was $69 million, a revenue boost per partner of 83%. We also have a poker game. So instead of earning clues for a mystery, you earn cards for a poker hand. Touch points work the same way. This one is commonly doubles partner engagement with a pilot campaign. We also have old style arcade games. So instead of earning a card or a clue, you earn playtime in a game, 30 seconds or a minute of playtime in a game like Space Invasion. Similar business results, crazy, similar touch point map. Everything's built on the same user experience and marketing best practices. We got Tap to Flap, which is like Flappy Bird, Smack-a-Mole, you smack the moles, and Snack Man, like Pac-Man with fast food. 3 more games coming before the end of the year, all built, with the same strategies in mind, all with similar performances. But I'll leave it there, and we can dive into questions.
Yeah, so you haven't, as you said, you're getting the same results no matter what the game. You haven't noticed any difference depending on the game?
Yep, that's true. So some of our customers have given us qualitative data that, hey, our audience likes this more than others. But looking at the data of how people participate, there really is no difference. The biggest factor for a successful campaign versus one that falls flat is the touch points you give to promoting the campaign and then the touch points they get within the campaign. And so inside of our gamified campaigns and all the other kind of campaigns we've run, looking at the data, the biggest the biggest factor is getting those touch points. And then once you have the attention of your partner, giving them a path to clearly execute what you want them to do, understanding how their time is probably invested and that allotted throughout the day.
Gotcha. So if you see somebody that has a low performing campaign or low engagement, the optimizations you do is just dive into the data, see maybe the touch points are different. Okay, you're going off of training, maybe you should go off of deal registration, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, usually when we're talking to a new customer or helping someone in the network, it's very easy diagnosable problem, right? A lot of times people say, I'm running this incentive. The money is great. I don't know why people aren't participating. I say, well, show me the email you sent, right? They send me an email. It's their monthly update, and bullet point number 9 out of 35 is the new incentive program, right? And that's your problem. The modern partner programs are so complex, especially in technology, right? There's so many products. Each product has so many features. There's so much complexity that things have to be made stupid simple. So if you really need to see results with a particular result, particular goal, you have to be communicating with your partners about that and about that alone, or about that alone distinctly from your other communications, because it's just too much attention dilution, too much paradox of choice. Your partners need to be guided through what you want them to do. And unless you are, hitting them over the head with it, it's hard for them to figure out. It's too much attention and energy they need to spend to kind of figure out what you really want them to do if you're asking them to do even 2 or 3 things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the mind share battle is super difficult in the partnerships world. And because like you say, we're all busy. We all have a lot of things going on. And so unless you make it stupid easy for me, yeah, it's going to be a lower adoption thing, because not many people just have I want to spend extra time on this vendor. So you're going to have to win them over. And yeah, putting it front and center, hitting them overhead, like you said, that makes a lot of sense. So I want to go back a little bit to a stat you threw out and went right through it. You must, you talk about this all the time, but it hit my wow button where you said, no matter what the incentive was, you're able to just do a raffle, because if you were doing like $500 per thing, no matter how much you were spending more on it, it didn't have any impact on the results of how many people were engaged. And that's crazy to me. Like,
yeah,
the more you pay people, the more they'll do stuff, but that doesn't seem like that's the case.
Yes. Well, incentives you have to look at on a spectrum, right? And that spectrum is hook, meaning something you use to get attention and garner interest, to compensation. And your incentives are going to fall somewhere on that spectrum, right? Many times you can be very close to the hook end of the spectrum, which is what we just saw, right? This is something that uses attention, that gets them to take initial action, and it will add to the experience for certain people. Other times you're asking them to do something very hard. I mean, this is your revenue share, your commissions, that's compensation. So you need to determine, are incentives getting them to take initial action or to take the final action, and how closely are the incentives related to the outcome you're getting, right? And so what people get wrong is that they have a fluffy goal, like, we really need partners to take more training, let's pay them to do the training, but we don't even have the metrics we need to know what it's worth for our partner to take a training. How are you going to assign a transactional incentive to that makes sense? Well, most of us don't even think about that. You can make a guess, but in the reality, if it's a simple training, you can get it done for free. All you need to do is get the touch points with your partner so they know you want to do it, and sweeten it a little bit. I think I am a big believer that if you just go back to basics, make it really simple, and get enough touch points, you will see increased engagement, and you will see increased engagement across your partner population. But adding something like gamification, or just something that's off the wall that stands out, is going to get you that extra boost of where people go, wait, this is like nothing else I'm seeing right now. Let me click and check it out. And if it's a 5-minute video and quiz, a lot of people are going to do it, especially if you catch them at a good time. If you have the touch points, you will catch them at a good time. And so you don't have to be shelling out those gift cards. So I think it's very specific to the activity and the metrics you have and your KPIs, but understanding that incentives can fall anywhere from hook to compensation or transaction, is an important distinction that I think is missed in general in the incentives conversation.
Yeah. So I think my takeaways there are, with incentives, make it unique, something that stands out from the crowd, make it easy, but most importantly, make it fun. Because you can save yourself a lot of money, instead of trying to get their attention with throwing money at them. You get their attention with something fun and unique, and it can be a lot more effective.
Absolutely. And, I don't think I even mentioned that. You are absolutely right. The weirder, the more unique, the cooler, the more exclusive the prize, the better. You're going to have better results with something that's completely different for one person than you are with a $10 gift card for 1,000 people. It's just, we're all looking for something new, and to break the monotony and the idea of a trip to Hawaii, or, a one-of-a-kind thing, is a lot more interesting than even a $100 gift card to a lot of these partners. Because yes, who can't use $100? Of course, but it's just not that interesting. I'm going to spend that on toilet paper and paper towels over time, right? It's like, it's not that exciting. Whereas if it's a surprise I can talk about with, my wife at the dinner table, you got my attention, and you have my conversation that's going to help organically grow the attention for your campaign.
Yeah. Yes. Special prize. That definitely works. All right. As we wrap up here, if you're joining us live and you have any questions, please put it in the chat, or if you're just watching the recording, reach out to us on LinkedIn. We're happy to engage with you guys there. We do have one question before we go here from Jane. What are the most common misconceptions about gamification? Talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but any other thoughts you have on that?
Yeah, I'd say a common one is that it doesn't work. It absolutely does work when you do it correctly. And I think to do it correctly, you just need to make sure that it's actually fun. And then it's actually fun, and it's connected to your business results, and you have a clear strategy to get there. I think another misconception would be that it's hard to do. It's not hard to do. Everybody knows what's fun. There's a very simple test. Would I have fun doing this? If the answer is no, it's not fun. If you thought, yeah, but the context also that you're not trying to make work into play. You're not trying to trick someone into doing work and thinking that they're playing a game. It's a very simple, transparent tool to get more interest on what you need done. And if you treat it that way with a fun attitude, it's going to work.
Yeah, I think one more misconception, at least that I had, is that it's old and it doesn't work anymore. But that doesn't seem to be the case.
Nope. Our data says otherwise.
Yes. Well, the data doesn't lie, and that's what I love about it. All right. Well, yeah, we can wrap up here, but Andrew, I really appreciate your time and going through this. I definitely learned a ton. Hopefully everybody out there that took the time to listen to this has learned something new, sparked some ideas of how they can really invigorate their incentives or their partner program in some way. But
thanks for having me. Always love talking.
Of course. All right. Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.